What are you doing? Grow up! Wake up! I can understand people who have not had access to any of this information, why they just believe whatever they're told by the BBC or CNN or the government or whatever. I can understand. But those people who've seen some of this information, enough to say Icke's a disinformation agent, and they can see where the world's going, or I mean, if they've got a brain cell on active duty, they will now, and yet that's their only contribution.
Welcome to a journey into the provocative world of David Icke, a former sports personality turned global provocateur. His unwavering critique of global control and censorship has ignited controversy and led to bans across borders. Today, we unravel his insights into secretive societies, their covert agendas for humanity, and his urgent call for an awakening that promises to redefine our perception of reality. Join us as we uncover why his perspective is crucial in navigating the complexities of our times.
I don't live my life by what other people choose to think of me. I was a television presenter with the BBC, and I was doing okay when my life changed and my life crashed all around me. And I went through levels of ridicule in the early, late 1990s that were of historic proportions in this country, but wider as well as I became known further afield. And I couldn't walk down any street in Britain without being laughed at. I was told I was a nutter. Comedians only had to say my name and they'd get a laugh. There was no joke required. I was the joke. But I kept going. And then I came across some very far out things. And I started talking and writing about them. And I was an even bigger nutter. And I was saying things like, if humanity doesn't wake up, there is going to be a global fascist dictatorship beyond anything that Orwell could have imagined. And I said that, and that was far out. And that was, you're mad. And where were all these people then? These people that say, that David Icke is a disinformation agent. Where were they then? If they knew me, they were laughing. And then it all comes to pass. And when it comes to pass, having been proved correct, despite all the ridicule, you're a disinformation agent. So you'll forgive me, I'm sure, if I don't take those people seriously on the basis that they don't take themselves seriously. If what people thought of me was important to me, I wouldn't have done almost anything that I've done in the last 30 years. Because if you go through this this mental gymnastics process of, if I say this, what will people think of me? Then you cease to be you, and you take on a persona that is what others expect you to be. So you cease to be you and you become them. And one thing, I've learned many things, but one thing I've learned over all these decades is that what people think today, they'll think something else tomorrow. So many people who ridiculed me, and will admit it now, are now reading my books. And so if I hadn't said what I said and wrote what I wrote because of what will people think of me, then people wouldn't be looking at my work in vast numbers now because of what was in the books has turned out to be true, because it would never have been in the books. I wouldn't have written it. And, one of the biggest, if not the biggest prison that people live in is the fear of what other people think. It's the prison that stops you being you and turns you into what others expect you to be. And, I can understand people who have not had access to any of this information, why they just believe whatever they're told by the BBC or CNN or the government or whatever. I can understand that. But those people who've seen some of this information, enough to say Icke's a disinformation agent, and they can see where the world's going, or if they've got a brain cell on active duty, they will now, and yet that's their only contribution. What are you doing? Grow up! Wake up! When I go back to 1990, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, and I see how many people were interested in this stuff. And then I see how many people are interested now, especially since the events of 2020 to present time. Then I see it as changing actually quite rapidly.
Mm.
And what I'm looking at now is people that have bought into the fear and look to authority to protect them from what authority has manipulated to fear. They seem to be going deeper and deeper into the coma. But there's been a tremendous awakening among enormous numbers of people, actually, since the start of 2020, because of the events that have taken place, in which they're reassessing everything. They're reassessing who is really running the world and to what end. And they're also reassessing, the whole greater, who am I? What's it all about? And the reason that it doesn't seem to be as big as it actually is because you'll never hear about it in the media. I mean, if you get your information from the mainstream media, you're never going to hear that there's an awakening taking place. A, because they won't know because of the circles they operate in, but also they that which controls the media, it doesn't want to start publicizing the fact that there's awakening going on. He wants people asleep. He wants to go the other way. But there is, and I'm a kind of a barometer of it because I walk down the streets, like I said earlier, in the 1990s, and I just got ridiculed and laughed at. And when I walk down the streets now, I'm stopped all the time by people who may be new to this or not long into this, who just want to talk to you about things in a serious way. I've seen people that have suddenly gone down this road who, if you'd have told me when I knew them 10 years ago that one day they go down this road, you think, well, that'll be a bloody miracle, but they are. Because people can change very fast once the programming starts to break down. Mm-hmm. When I remember what it was like, and I have the experience now, a lot of people are woken up. It's just that we're not hearing about it through the sources of information. I mean, when I started out in the early 1990s, the places that were interested in you speaking or anything were so few. I do interviews virtually every day. In fact, I'm on a roll at the moment. It's going to be about 10 or 12 days in a row because I'm doing them over the weekend as well. Now, what a difference that is. Yeah. That alone shows you the interest there is in these subjects, that there are so many people that are not only want to talk to you, but have channels and shows that talk about this stuff. I mean, I can't tell you just what a massive expansion there has been. There is awakening going on. There is. It's just that it's not being broadcast on TV and in the newspapers, but it is happening. And there comes a point where there is going to come a point when that breaks out into the public arena in a way that even the mainstream won't be able to ignore. I mean, they'll demonize it and they'll spin it, but they won't be able to ignore it.
As we conclude our journey through David Icke's profound insights, we've glimpsed into a world where truth challenges perception. His bold views on global control and the urgent call for awakening invite us to rethink our place in the unfolding story of humanity. Thank you for exploring these thought-provoking ideas with us today. Remember, the quest for truth is ongoing. Stay curious, question boldly, and keep seeking answers that resonate with your understanding of the world. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more explorations into thought-provoking topics. Until next time, stay enlightened. Thank you.